Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Why would you choose Sean over Blake Lively? Why would that be the choice? I was really confused in that confrontation. when Anna Kendrick shot him, I was like, yes, right, cool,
Good.
okay. And now you're going to turn to Blake Lively and be like, okay, babe, we've done it. Like, let's run. Let's take the 4 million, run, take our kids.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be great. Like, this asshole can just lie in the mess he made. Maybe the ambulance will get there on time. Maybe they won't. Who cares? And it would have been great. And then it's like, no, she chose to team up with Sean. Like, come on. Like, and the level of kind of...
What's wrong with Sean? I like Sean. I like Crazy Rich Asians. Oh, there you go. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today I'm joined by Ella.
Hello.
Becky.
Hiya.
And Helen.
Hello.
As always. And we are going to be talking about A Simple Favour.
Thank you, as always, to the mighty people for the mighty, mighty tunes. And thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills.
Please do remember to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you can do where you listen to the podcast, because it really does help us.
And you can join in the conversation with us on Twitter
At FlixWatcherPod and on Instagram
at Flixwatcher.
Hello, film fans. Welcome to Flixwatcher podcast. In our studio today, we have Becky and Ella. If you would like to introduce yourselves to our listeners and tell them about the work that you do.
Hiya, I'm Becky. I am guesting over here today from a podcast called And Then What? It's a podcast all about stories. And
what do you mean it's a podcast about stories?
Well, the general premise is just 2 friends sitting in a room trying to make each other laugh or cry or very angry with the stories that we tell. And the stories can come from anywhere. So it could be something bizarre that we found on Reddit or something we've seen in the news, something we've written, an old folk tale, all sorts of stuff. Sometimes a long joke, but a short story will suffice.
Sure.
Yeah, it can be absolutely anything. We're actually on a little bit of a hiatus right now because my co-host Amy had a baby.
Congratulations, Amy.
Congratulations.
So at least you can listen to your voice in this.
Exactly. And her son can continue to get used to me being around all the time.
I heard one story, which I'm on Reddit quite a lot. And there's one story you read out, which I'd read on Reddit
The R. Kelly
independently. Man. The R. Kelly man, no.
Which one?
It's about a guy who autoflated himself in front of his assistants.
Such a good one. It was a twist I just didn't see coming. It was well named than anyone in the room, really. It was such a good one.
It's like, was that Today I Fucked Up?
Today I Fucked Up.
Yeah. Tifu, the Tifu, r/Tifu thread on Reddit. Ella, who are you?
Who am I? That's a big question. I'm a podcast person, so I'm sort of guessing from the Orphans podcast, which is a sci-fi drama that I work on as an assistant producer. However, that is not all I do. In addition to that, I'm a podcast producer for BBC Studios. I work in commissioning podcasts for BBC Sound, specifically in drama, and I also work across a range of drama podcasts. So I have worked with Wooden Overcoats, I've worked with Victoriosity, and I used to produce The Unseen Hour, which is a horror comedy, and then I generally sort of consult for and sort of coordinate the international fiction podcast community.
So these are audio fictions, probably the hardest form of podcasting you can do, and you've chosen to niche down in that world.
I mean, I feel like it's really kicking every other podcaster in the teeth if I'm like, what I do is way harder than what you do.
I mean, let's be honest, me and Helen just come into this glass cube once every other week and talk about films which other people have chosen.
Yes.
So I think...
We did have to choose them once ourselves, though.
Yeah. Once in 100, we choose the films. I think we have the kind of lighter end of the stick.
You have a really neat setup, though. Like, this is more organized than some scripted podcasts I've seen, like with casts of like more than 20 people. You've got like a display, you've got notes. Like, I'm honestly impressed.
We don't have notes. You've got notes. You guys have got notes.
Oh, we do.
You're right. I have notes in a notebook. I have notes on my phone. I had notes on my laptop, which I put away.
Well, we're talking today about A Simple Favour, which is your choice, Becky.
Yes.
Can you tell us why you chose it and give us a 1-minute synopsis?
I chose A Simple Favour because it's very on brand for me in that it's quite silly and very camp. And it's a thriller with women at the centre of a crime story, which I love. It focuses on Anna Kendrick's character, kind of a mommy vlogger called Stephanie Smothers. And she's very prim and proper and signs up and volunteers for all the stuff. And then she and another mom at the school, their worlds collide, and this other mom couldn't be more different. She's played by Blake Lively, and she's incredibly chic. She wears like elegant men's tailoring, and she swears a lot, and she drinks a lot. She's very sexually adventurous, and she's quite a mystery. And she one day asks Stephanie for a simple favour. And basically that leads to general chaos in Stephanie's life. Blake Lively's character goes missing. Nobody knows where she is. It becomes an absolute crime mystery. And what's great, and it's kind of quite a funny narrative device, is that Stephanie, Anna Kendrick's character, documents this crime mystery on her very popular vlog that becomes ever more popular as the story unfolds. And there's lots of twists and turns. Blake Lively's character is not who she says she is, shocker. And it all ends in a bang.
I did actually notice at the start she had very few followers, and she get more and more. That's just
Key for the plot there.
Indeed,
Evolve.
Helen, what were your thoughts on A Simple Favour?
So I had not seen this before. I don't think I'd ever seen this before anywhere. That was not on my radar. It's quite relatively new, so it came out 2018.
Yeah. I remember it coming out, but I think the reviews were kind of like, it's quite interesting, but I thought, I don't want to go and actually see this in the cinema, so I thought I'd wait until it came out onto a streaming platform. Yeah,
so I like the things that Anna Kendrick does. I think she's quite fun, and she's quite a lot of fun in this. And I don't actually think I've ever seen Blake Lively in anything, so this is my introduction to her. It's Gossip Girl was her big TV thing.
Was she in the OC as well? Or am I thinking someone else?
She was in, I wish I could remember the film a few years ago, where she played a woman who didn't age on the outside. She was in a really good, it wasn't called Crawl. It was a horror, it was a creature feature. Apparently she was amazing in that. I don't know why I'm looking to you, Ella.
I mean, there is a horror film called Crawl, but unfortunately.
That came out recently,
Honestly, my knowledge of Blake Lively is very, very slim.
Same.
Apart from this, but...
what about the Vampire Weekend song?
Is there a line in about that?
There goes, Blake's got a new face.
Oh, is that what it's about?
I think it's about her. I always just assumed it was. Yeah. Blake's got a new face.
Resist the urge to say who she's married to, because she is more than the person she's married to.
Yes, I agree with this. But also their marriage is very entertaining.
Yes.
Who's she married to?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, okay. Fine. It's one of those things now I'm like, I didn't care. I don't care. I don't care now.
Some people do. Some people care more about that than they do what she does. So anyway, yes, I enjoyed this. I don't really know what I was expecting it to be. So it neither met or did not meet my expectations. It's quite fun. And it does kind of keep you guessing. I enjoyed it. I think that's my general feeling about it. Yeah.
Ella.
Okay, so... I should preface this with the fact that I am very bi, and I perpetuate a lot of bi stereotypes because I fall in love with people very easily. And I want to be clear that not all bi people do that. It's a me problem, not a bi problem. So I remembered seeing trailers for this film because I was like, oh, cool, Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively fall in love over, like, messing with a man, and that's going to be great. And then I found out that it wasn't gay, and I was like, I can't watch it now because the heartbreak is too much. And then I watched it, and I really enjoyed it, and I kept thinking they were going to make it gay. And I kind of, like, live blogged to myself as I was watching, and I had a couple of times of, like, I really want this to be gay. It is gay. Oh, it's not gay. And my entire opinion of the film is a little bit coloured by wanting Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick to get together and not getting that. But I did think it was really cool. I did really enjoy how camp it was. And I do love the fact that it had these women at the centre. And I love the fact that it kind of felt like Anna Kendrick was like an accidental true crime podcaster kind of person.
Right.
And that really entertained me. Because I think when I've seen people try to do that with podcasts, I haven't often seen it work very well. But with this, I just loved the commitment to the mummy vlog, and I loved the commitment to the mummy aesthetic. I liked the fact that as she got darker and darker, she was still wearing like bobble sweaters and like her little booties. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I make it gay.
They did.
Everything.
Did they kiss at some point?
Yeah, they did. And I think that could have been more of a bigger sort of twist on the ending,
right?
Maybe, if it did all turn out that they were kind of conspiring against him. But there are other films that do the gay and conspiring thing, but I think, I don't know, it could have taken a different way. Well, yeah.
There are not enough of them. And I was disappointed that, like, it wasn't that they had teamed up in a kind of like badass criminal ladies style. I mean, this is a spoiler. I feel like I'm.
Well, we are allowed spoilers, so that's fine.
Yeah.
When they kind of have the toast at the gravestone, I kind of thought that maybe they were going to make some kind of alliance to go in it together, kind of split the money and basically punish the husband for being very, oh, my wife's dead, I'm going to sleep with her best friend.
Like,
quickly.
Really?
It also alludes to that he's possibly sleeping with his office.
Oh yeah,
PA?
with his PA or something. Yeah.
But that was.
So I think he could have been the victim a bit more.
Wasn't that announced in the threesome story that she said? She said she had a threesome with her husband and his PA or assistant.
Yes, that's right. I actually missed that.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what they call her then.
But then I don't know if that's obviously was a consensual thing outside of that.
But then he later says that was a lie. So that was her digging at him having an affair with her.
That's it.
Basically, he's a bit of a dirty dog, and I don't think he's punished enough.
So right from the start, you're not sure. It's a bit of an unreliable narration thing going on, isn't there? You're not sure who to trust, who to believe.
Yeah.
Between Henry Golding's character and Blake and Anna Kendrick's kind of. I'm just going to call him by the actor name because I can't rember who
no
was
one
who.
cares what their real names are.
I really like Anna Kendrick, and apart from Pitch Perfect 3 and the other Twilight films after the first one, which
I forgot she was in those.
Yeah, but she's awesome in Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, she is.
Up in the Air. She's in a lot of, and she's.
And then this is a really good comedic kind of actor when she's like trying to get out of the dress and stuff like that. I think she's great.
Oh, she's really good. One of the. I was like making notes about each of the actors as I went along.
End of Watch.
Yes.
End of Watch. She's in
Up in the Air.
An upcoming Chris Morris film as well.
Oh, is she in that?
Oh,
really
she
good.
is, yeah.
I was making notes as I went along, and I was doing a little bit of research on the background of the film, and it was originally acquired by Fox, and then they eventually had to let it go, and it went to Lionsgate, which is when the director Paul Feig,
Either.
one of the two, when he got attached to it, and then finally made a sort of comedy without Melissa McCarthy, whom I love, by the way. That's not a dig at all. But the more and more I was watching it, I was trying to think, well, if it had gone to Fox and stayed there, like what would have been the casting for that? And the more and more I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, actually, because Anna Kendrick, I love her, but she does kind of play this character a lot in various films. But this has got a darker twist. It's a bit more crimey. It's almost like Gone Girl, but Anna Kendrick has like fan fictioned herself into it.
It's Gone Girl.
Which I quite enjoy. And I was like, yeah, I'm really into that premise quite a lot, which is why I really enjoy this film for a number of reasons.
You're a script editor. It's part of one of the things you do, isn't
Script consultant.
Script consultant.
So, yeah. So,
have you read the script to this? Do you approve?
I haven't. I kind of don't want to ruin it for myself a little bit, because I do sort of want to read the book that it's originally based on.
Right.
So I think that would be really
Darcy
interesting.
Bell.
Yeah, because there are a lot of things when I was researching, like, for example, the costuming in the film, which is stunning. I don't know if you agree on Blake Lively's. Ella is like shaking.
Of course I do.
And nodding vigorously.
I think I saw like an interview with Blake Lively where she'd said that she wanted to wear a suit, and they were like, "Oh, are you sure that'll be sexy?" And she was like, "Trust me, it'll be sexy."
I can make anything work. But that wasn't, apparently that's not really an element in the book. That was very much a collaborative decision between Blake Lively and the costume designer as well. And they didn't actually look too far. They were like, what should we make her wear that will make her stand out? And then they looked at the director, Paul Feig, because he's always very dapperly dressed, and they made her look amazing. So apparently there's quite a few elements from the book that are different to the film, which is why I would like to read it. But I don't know, I don't want to, because it does make me think, actually no, I would like to read the script. I'm going to completely 180 myself, because I really want to interrogate that last 20 minutes in the script, which I do not enjoy.
What happens? Okay, so the one thing is, I guess, to talk about is that, did you believe that she was ever dead or missing? Or
well, she couldn't have been dead. It was one of those things. But then when a body turns up, you're like, oh, maybe, and we see the body.
But the key is the tattoo, because she's already shown her the tattoo and the ring,
Yeah,
and that's the key thing. That's the misdirection. It's like, well, it has to be them, because it's got those two things that are very distinguishable.
So there's one of those things where something happens so early on in the film, you think that's not the end of the film, so there's more to it. It's almost like, in spite of yourself, but as a kind of cine-literate person, you kind of think she's not dead. It's not that kind of film where that happens. Kind of the concept of it and how it's kind of set up, and how Paul Feig kind of works. It's not like Fincher, for example. If this was a Fincher film, she would have been dead.
Oh.
But because it wasn't that kind of construct, it was like, she's not dead.
Well, no, and also, like, I mean, for me, it was the tattoo gave it away. Like, it was way too obvious. They were just like, oh, by the way, I've got this tattoo. Just so you know, everyone, remember, I've got this tattoo.
Chekhov's
and my
tattoo.
God. And it went off too early. And it was like, well, this can't be right. And also, it just didn't make any sense for Emily's character to, drive into a lake as if. She'd be way more dramatic than that. Like, even before we find out the depths of her complexity, you know that that's not the way that she'd, if she was going to commit suicide or get into some kind of drama, then it would be public and it would be big and it would be stupid, not in the middle of the night in a lake in the middle of nowhere. I didn't believe that for a second. I did really believe that Stephanie had murdered her brother and husband. I was very surprised that she hadn't murdered them.
Sorry, Blake Lively, is this?
No, Anna Kendrick. I really thought that it was going to turn out that she'd murdered them, that Blake Lively knew that, and that Blake Lively had recruited her to frame her husband, and that they were like criminals. I mean, again, this might have been my brain trying to find ways to make it gay. But
How does that make it gay?
Well, I kind of wondered what the whole brother fucker thing was going to turn into.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be more to it other than that.
She had sex with a stepbrother. Was it?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it
Half-brother.
Okay.
And her husband found out and drove them both into a wall at speeds. And so that was purely there to give the plot point for Blake Lively's character to pretend to kill herself.
Yeah.
I kind of was expecting there to be a bit more about that, or I didn't really see that bit feeding in.
There's this one shot that it keeps coming back to when Anna Kendrick is being interrogated, of her in this purple dress opening the door, and the police are being like, have you ever spoken to the police before? And then it cuts to her now and she's like, no, I mean, I'm just not used to it. And then you know that she has, and then it keeps cutting to the car crash, and I kept thinking, oh, she's lied to the police before and she's comfortable with this. And then she makes a lot of comments about how everyone assumes that she's a saint and assumes that she's whiter than white. And the whole scene where Blake Lively finds out that she fucked her stepbrother, like, I felt like she was holding something back, and I was certain that she'd just gotten rid of her problem.
What's the thing?
Yeah, and she's not sad enough when she tells Blake Lively either. Now, admittedly, if I was talking to Blake Lively and she was offering me a martini in that suit, I would also be laughing nervously. But like, she's not like, oh yeah, my husband and brother, it was really terrible. She's like, oh yeah, really sad. Anyway, and it's like, I was just convinced that she was a murderer.
She does have that like kind of a slightly unhinged edge to her, definitely. But you mentioned something, and you as well, Kobe, you mentioned, there's a really nice kind of narrative device that they use throughout the film where it does make you think, can I believe anything this person is saying?
Yeah.
When they have when two people have a conversation with each other, and then you'll see a flashback that completely contradicts what the person is saying in the present. So they do it with Anna Kendrick talking about what she actually did with her brother.
Yeah.
And then happens with Blake Lively when she talks about what actually happened with her sister. Oh yeah, we haven't actually mentioned the twin yet, have we? Here we go.
There's two things we definitely need to talk about:
Yes.
the twin, and also Henry Golding as her the husband stroke lover for Stephanie.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hope and Faith.
Sure.
And Charity.
Yes.
Because that explains. So Hope and Faith both have. So Blake Lively plays her character and her twin. Hang on. She Lindsay Lohan's it, and they both have a tattoo.
That's Parent Trap for you guys listening there.
That has a charity symbol on it, and they set fire to their childhood home when they're teenagers and kill their father. It's not funny, but it's just me responding to the ludicrousness of the film. And then they both separate and agree to meet up at a later point. She makes a very offhand comment to Stephanie at one point, Anna Kendrick, that she's not just a twin, she was a triplet, but their father joked that they Faith and Hope killed the third one in the womb. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best script.
Is it?
Just maybe not in terms of plot and story and paying everything off, but the dialogue is great and really snappy, and just there's like the great line about don't apologise, it's such a fucked up female habit.
Yeah,
so many good quotable moments. Yeah,
I think that a lot of that stuff I really enjoy in the early film, and I also really enjoy sort of both Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick's performances of being very wry about that very American conversation of like, come on, we're empowered now, okay? Like, be empowered.
This
Stop
is the
apologizing.
90s. Come on.
Exactly. Like, it really feels like the kind of 21st century version of, in a 90s film, someone being like, don't man up, woman up. Like, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, I love this, and I love the way that it's very cleverly, like, mocking these things. And then the twins thing, felt very campy for me, very kind of like Agatha Christie kind of plot twist.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I was like, this is absolutely something that would be revealed like last minute in a Miss Marple novel. Actually, she had a twin, but no, they were triplets.
Yeah, and I think the story and the believability, I know a lot of stuff in this film is ludicrous, but I think there is a certain line you can tread. Yeah, there is a certain line you can tread to hold the audience like suspense of disbelief. Have I got that right? Yeah. And but it kind of falls off the rails a little bit when you introduce the concept of the twin, and then there's quite a lot of like exposition you have to
scrabble a lot of backstory quite quickly.
And that would have been, if I was like responding to that script, that would be one of my notes, being like, you got to find a way to feed in these little bits of, because there's
Crumbs,
so much. There's so much in the first act.
It would have been quite nice to kind of lay that trail early on in the film.
Yes.
And not have to, like I say, it has to do a lot of work after the reveal.
But also, it takes a long while to get to the setup of what was the simple favour that she asked to bring you back in there, which is a little bit sort of annoying. It's like, come and get to the thing. But for me, the best bits are kind of the start bit where they're kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a trade-off. We wouldn't have had that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I love the introduction. Also, in terms of the last 20 minutes, the fourth guy, the guy who's like the neighbor, like
Andrew Rannells.
Yeah,
whom I love. But
but he's introduced so late as like a relevant plot point. Like, he's there at the beginning being a bit bitchy, and then about halfway through the film he reoccurs for maybe 90 seconds to talk about brownies, and then at the end he's like, mommy bloggers unite. And I don't understand why we needed him. I don't think we did.
Because he had a Prius. He had a silent Prius.
It's just, like the whole last 20 minutes. I think I made a few notes about
what was in the last 20 minutes?
So,
we'll have a bit of Henry Golding chat.
So just a quick note on Henry Golding. The only note I wrote down for him was closed captions, Shag's wife conflictedly. Just the bit in the plane where they join the Mile High Club.
Oh, yeah.
Just the expression on his face. Sorry. I've never seen a man look more conflicted while having sex with his wife. I was excellent
she did
bit of direction.
steal his mother's ring.
Exactly. But I was just like,
she's bad to the core right from the start.
Terrible woman. But last 20 minutes I've put, what? Forgets what it is. Feels like they filmed a joke version to get like the giggles out of their system, but then that was the only version that survived. I think I love everything Blake Lively does in the last 20 minutes. I think she's very consistent throughout. Kendrick and Golding kind of go a bit weird. I can't quite put my finger on. But even with Blake Lively's like monologuing, like villain monologuing,
it was like that, wasn't it?
She does play it very well, but it's just terrible. Like the writing just kind of falls off. And then Andrew Rannells coming out of the Prius, being like, "Moms," and like, "You're high, go away." Like, it's not great. It's a shame, but up to that point, great film.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so not to sound like a broken record, but. Why would you choose Sean over Blake Lively? Why would that be the choice? I was really confused in that confrontation. when Anna Kendrick shot him, I was like, yes, right, cool, good. Okay. And now you're going to turn to Blake Lively and be like, okay, babe, we've done it. Like, let's run. Let's take the 4 million, run, take our kids. Yeah. Everything's going to be great. Like, this asshole can just lie in the mess he made. Maybe the ambulance will get there on time. Maybe they won't. Who cares? And it would have been great. And then it's like, no, she chose to team up with Sean. Like, come on. Like, and the level of kind of...
What's wrong with Sean? I like Sean. I like Crazy Rich Asians. Oh, there you go.
The thing is, a film that has no morals up to that point suddenly goes, actually, we want the right thing to happen and the bad person to be punished. Which was, like, I think maybe a cop-out. I expected it not to end the way it did.
With that shooting scene, was anyone convinced?
No.
No. Okay, good.
I did like Henry Golding. I think he's very handsome. I think he does a good job of being very handsome and being the kind of the pretty boy. I do think that, I believe he was playing a deliberately quite vapid character. It was interesting that he was the annoying, vacuous bimbo in the situation who will have sex with anyone and is just there to be like, be pretty.
He was the losing relationship, wasn't he?
Yeah, like, but at the same time, I think I was just like slightly blinded by the light of Blake Lively.
Hard not to be. I mean, look at the woman. We're just looking at the little display screen. What an incredible woman. Yeah.
I love the outfit she has. That's basically just like the inside of a shirt and some cuffs.
Oh, yeah, when she rips off the little dickie. Oh, it's genius.
Which also, again, very erotic moment. Okay, like she literally undresses in front of Anna Kendrick whilst being like she starts by being like, hey, do you want to have a drink with me? And Anna Kendrick's like blushing and giggling and like, I mean, do I? I mean, maybe I do. Like, okay. And then they go back to her house and Blake Lively undresses in front of her and Anna Kendrick's like blushing, being like, ooh, okay, cool. This is, I've never really been adventurous, but I'll try for you, Blake.
So as an opening, like just as a character study, that's an excellent like sequence of scenes. I remember as it was going through, I was just literally in my notebook, just writing down like a column of Stephanie and a column of Emily, as in Kendrick and Lively, and just like they are complete polar opposites in every single respect. And I think that's really, really. If the film was just a short about them two meeting each other, I think I would have been fine with that. It's just I think like that should be like taught in character study.
Yeah, like, and actually, as much as I joke about it, and I would enjoy it a lot if they'd made it gay. I genuinely do also think it's a really, really interesting exploration of two very different kinds of femininity. And it is interesting seeing them like butting up against each other and seeing the way that, like, because I think, and not to be like, hey, token dude in the room, but I don't know what, Kobe, you got from it, because for me, even though that scene where Stephanie, Anna Kendrick, goes back with Emily, Blake Lively to her house, it seems like Stephanie is constantly on the back foot. For me, in a lot of ways, Stephanie kind of has more power than Emily. You can see how Emily is also feeling a bit insufficient because she's just not as good as a mum. And there's a lot of things that Stephanie is just casually saying about just being responsible. And
I find it like it was an interesting kind of tug of war. There's like give and take from both sides, and like say Anna Kendrick felt that she was a lesser human at some points, but then she was a better mother than Blake's, and it was that kind of to and fro, back and forth all the time, which I found most interesting. I don't really get Blake Lively. I just don't really get. I can see why she's kind of beautiful and
we'll chat after.
Yeah, you can chat after, it's fine. I guess I don't really like I'm not a supermodel type guy, so I can see why it's all kind of stylish. Again, fashion for me is something that completely just goes straight over my head. I thought the her outfit at the graveyard had me in absolute stitches. But it wasn't in admiration. It was just like, what the fuck are you doing? You're trying to be like discreet, but then there's part of the timbre of how the film's kind of built together, isn't it? So it's like, yeah, well, that's who you are. She's walking around with a cane half the time, and it's that kind of. It might as well have been like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for the kind of set. It could have well been set in the 80s, I think, if there wasn't the kind of construct of a mum. It would have been maybe a cable access TV show that she was working on rather than a YouTube channel. But I thought, yeah, Blake Lively for me, fine, great-ish, but for me, Anna Kendrick was a bigger kind of character in this. And I'm not sure, I wouldn't see a film for Blake at the moment. No. But I can see why she's like a big thing, but...
Yeah, I've liked her in quite a lot of stuff, even though I can't remember for the life of me what any of them are called.
This is
really annoying.
Like her and Taylor Swift, to me, are people like, oh, okay, which one's Taylor Swift again? Oh, that one. Okay, good, fine. And then like,
yeah, see,
Ella's like,
well, no, I'm worried that Taylor Swift fans will murder me, but I think Blake Lively is way better than Taylor Swift.
Don't murder Ella.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do see what you mean. I think that I was thinking a lot in this film was like comparing Blake Lively to Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Because they are blondes playing mercurial, unhinged women who are getting revenge on an annoying man. So
Rosamund Pike, I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Blake.
Yeah. And I did keep trying to think whether that was like a little bit kind of the script and direction that she'd been given. And it is not. Like, this is supposed to be, I think, comedic as well, whereas Rosamund Pike was able to kind of go full thriller and get really unhinged.
That was dark as fuck. I've not seen that since the cinema.
Spoilers, careful now.
I just said dark as fuck. I didn't.
But true. Yeah, no, I mean, I will take your point about that. Although that's
no, you don't have to accept my point. That's my opinion. You fight for the film you wanted.
Don't apologise, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
If we've learned anything from the film, it's don't say sorry.
So with that, let's head to the scores.
Oh, yes.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. All of our scores are out of 5, and you may have decimal places if you wish. And we will start with you, Becky, as it was your choice, with your recommendability, please.
I'm going to go for a 3.5. on the recommendability, which might seem low for a film that I absolutely love. But it's definitely not for everyone, I think. It's kind of, I don't know if you feel this way, Ella, but for me, this is like kind of a camp shibboleth sort of thing where like, if someone else goes, oh my God, yeah, I love that, then I'm like, we'll be good friends forever. But I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So I'm going to go for a 3.5 just because I would have to kind of gauge a person first before I'm like...
I like your use of the term shibboleth there to uncover, because I have films like that where you kind of go, okay, do you like Donnie Darko? Yes, good. We shall be friends. That's fine. Ella?
Yeah, so I actually also had 3.5. For like slightly different reasons. One of them is those last 20 minutes. One of them is that I think a lot of my friends just sort of expect at this point that if I'm recommending them media, there is probably a queer person in it. And I know that they also will be like, but they kissed, surely they're lovers. And I'm going to be a bit sad. But yeah, like I think, yeah, you put it exactly. It's like some people are going to love it and enjoy the campness and enjoy the weirdness. And some people are just going to go on their way.
I feel like if you like Showgirls, you'll probably enjoy having this on in the background sort of thing. Yeah.
Helen?
So that's kind of throwing me, because I was expecting you to kind of like hit it out the park and go like really, really high. I'm going to go a bit high. I'm going to go 3.7.
Ooh.
Because if someone was said, should I watch this? I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of fun. It's a little bit weird. I like the bit the most where basically Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick are together on screen. And I think when she fakes her own death and disappears from it, it loses that kind of energy and fun. And they do try and cram too much into the setup and the backstory, and the ending is a bit silly. But yeah, it's an enjoyable film to spend an hour and 57 minutes in.
I'm going to go for 3.5 as well. If someone asked you to watch it, I'd probably gauge them and say, not for you, Ben. But I think it's fine. was going to go to what, like I say, it was out, and I think it wasn't that big a week in the cinema. And I kind of went, you know what, I can't be bothered. And I think that's right. It's a sitting at home, and it's going to see it into the scores later on, I think. But if I'd seen this in the cinema, I would have been like, no, I think I could have done other things than get the train down here and like fight it past all the idiots in Leicester Square who are breakdancing. So yeah, 3.5. Repeat viewing score.
I'm going to go for a 2.5. Again, it still might seem a bit low, but I probably wouldn't have watched this film for a while had I not been prompted by...
How many times have you seen it?
This is my second time.
Okay. But did you see it in the cinema the first time, or was it both on Netflix? I
did not. I'm very picky about what I go to the cinema to watch now.
Sure.
So I'm quite happy to wait for things to arrive on the small screen. But I had been very intrigued by the publicity tour for this one because Blake Lively was dressed to the nines for this one. And I was also really intrigued by the fact that it was Paul Feig /Feig directing a crime thriller about centered around women, because he's a great director for that. It's like he always brings the best out of actresses, I feel like. So I was really intrigued.
Or Bridesmaids and Ghostbusters. Well, let's talk a bit about the Feigster. I quite like him. I think he rambles on in his films too much. I was surprised that he directed this.
Yeah.
But I think things like Bridesmaids, and I think Ghostbusters got a very unfair shrift.
Broiled up in a bigger thing than it needed
to
be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not that big a fan of his overall, but I think he has got the kind of vehicle. He brings people with him. And he generally, I think he's a good guy, but I think quite often he doesn't hit the mark in his films. I'm trying to think which films he has at the moment.
Yeah, I had a look at his other films, and I'd only seen Bridesmaids just because I just haven't been in the position to have been offered his other offerings. But I think it's interesting because he's someone who's working in Hollywood who tends to get reasonably decent budgets and manages to get reasonably big female names on the screen and into mainstream Hollywood. So even if he doesn't quite hit the mark all the time, and sometimes I think maybe his scripts could do with some good editing a little bit, and a little bit of sort of stronger editing in general to trim down unnecessary bits. But I think if he continues to do this, he's at least making interesting films and, you know, putting females into sort of bigger blockbuster movies.
Well, he had, so just going through his list very quickly. So he did a few Arrested Development episodes, which is a good training ground for directors. You'd think, like the Russos did this, and like Jay Chandrasekhar. But then I think Bridesmaid was his first film, which was great, and Spy is really good fun. Yeah, The Heat's good fun. As well.
A lot of Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, a lot of Melissa McCarthy. And it kind of gets, maybe I'm confusing too much with Judd Apatow in the kind of warbling.
It's easy to
mixing together.
I think what I like about what he's done with this most is that he's kind of hit upon something that's very timely in women's keen interest in crime. So, you know, you've got a million true crime like Mommies and Murder and Wine and Crime and things like that. Nothing Rhymes with Murder, all that stuff. That's the joke of the podcast. But that's possibly another reason why I really enjoyed this as well, because I do enjoy, or maybe I study true crime a lot just to make sure I don't get moided. But yeah, so the kind of the camp plus the comedy.
How do I avoid a moider?
Moider.
Watch all the podcasts. Listen to all the podcasts.
And the fact that Paul Feig does treat actresses incredibly well and gets fantastic performances out of them. I feel like he's done quite a stellar job on this film, I think.
Ella?
Well, I mean, what I like about him is that he both sort of gives me like hot women, but from a female gaze perspective, which I'm not just saying in an objectifying way. I also think genuinely the women, I mean, I haven't seen lots of Paul Feig films, but I've seen Ghostbusters and now I've seen this, and I think that, like, I loved Ghostbusters. It's Chris Hemsworth's best role.
Yes.
By like a long way. Why was no one letting him do comedy? But I also, what I like about Ghostbusters and what I like about this is that the women in those films, even if they're dressed to the nines like Blake Lively, always seem very comfortable in what they're wearing and in the way that they kind of just generally perform themselves. So I love Holtzman in Ghostbusters so much. And one of the reasons that I love her so much is she's so comfortable in her own skin. And in this, Anna Kendrick like, yeah, is super uptight and very much like mommy blogger, but she's also very comfortable doing that. She's not like the clothes she's she's not wearing because she's wearing uncomfortable shoes because she's trying to show people what she's doing. Like, she got these socks from whichever, I was going to say
Target.
Target. She got these socks from Target. She likes them. They've got little cute animals on them. Like, I really like that. It makes me as a female viewer feel very comfortable watching these films, which, like, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like a second skin, and it's very in character. It tells you so much about the characters as well, which I really, really like. So, yeah, I completely agree with your point there.
Oh, sorry, we need your score.
Oh, God, yeah. Sorry.
This is on the...
Repeat viewing.
So this is only a 2. It's not because I didn't enjoy it. I did really enjoy it. But it is because I think now that I know the twists, I'm not sure how eager I am to watch it again. Like, I feel like I would watch it with ice cream or popcorn if I was feeling like sleepy or if I had a cold.
So you'd quite happily fall asleep after the kind of first half hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it gets a bit shitty now.
Do you know what it reminds?
So if I fell asleep at this point, I'll be fine.
You know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
And this is, I'm really worried I'm saying a lot of controversial things here. It reminds me of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, I could watch the first 20 minutes and I'd be very, very happy. Ooh. And I feel that after those first 20 minutes, when they leave the island...
Really, the men get in the way, really.
Yeah, like, honestly.
Fucking men.
But like...
Get out.
But actually, much like Wonder Woman, and I do think Patty Jenkins was beholden in some ways to the studio. That's what I choose to believe, and we'll see what happens with the next Wonder Woman film. Much like Wonder Woman, I think that the first 20 minutes of this really got like some great stuff about women talking to women and interacting with women, and there was some really interesting, exciting, and fun things that I hadn't seen before. And then things started to unravel a little bit, and
it's like, oh yeah, plot.
Yeah. Could just watch these two characters interact all the time, but
That's like, so they should do like The Trip, basically, like the female version of The Trip instead of Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan, just like
Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick.
I mean, would that not have been a brilliant film?
Well, they made The Trip into the second one was a film, and then he spliced it up into a TV show. So they could do that. Yeah, Paul Green, not Paul Greengrass.
There you go.
I mean,
if you're listening.
We're going to go, Helen, what's your score for repeat viewing?
Yeah, I'm going to go a 2 as well. If someone said, oh, I'm going to watch this, do you want to watch it? I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to rush to do it, but I wouldn't begrudge watching it again. It's fun.
I'm going to go for 1.5 for the same reasons. It's fine. If it's on, watch it a bit whilst doing some ironing. Small screen score.
I went for a 4.0.
4.0.
I feel.
What do you think would have made it better? What do you think you're missing on the big screen?
I don't know, because I think because I haven't seen it on a big screen, so I can't sort of confidently say. I don't know if I would have appreciated the little animals on the Target socks even more, or been really like, oh my god, this costuming on Blake Lively is incredible. But I think a 4.0 is okay. I like watching this, enjoying the visuals and the styling is like, because I look at the Met Gala pictures the day after, just scrolling on my phone. I felt like I was quite happy to just watch this on my laptop, and I was and I can move around and get stuff done. But that's more like the next score. So, but yeah, I think a 4.0 is fine for this one. You can totally get away with watching this on a small screen and enjoy it nonetheless.
Ella.
I also have a 4.0. I think for me, well, 2 things. I actually watched it on my phone on a train, which meant that Stephanie's blog and stuff like that was really hard to see any of the details.
Oh, there are some tiny, tiny little things in the blog titles I think you'll really like.
So I was like, and I mean, I could kind of make an educated guess, and there's a couple of lines in the script where they refer to it. So I was like, okay, I get what's happening here, but also, I mean, that, and in addition to that, I do think on the big screen, the costumes, the colours, like there's a lot of really fun, very deliberate kind of pastiche style saging. Like actually one of my favourite outfits in the film, in addition to every suit Blake Lively wears, is the bright blue, very housemaid-y dress that she wears at the end for that weird scene. But my favourite part of that weird scene was her in this, just because that really hammered home the kind of camp. You're reading like a Pulp Fiction murder mystery, Agatha Christie style. Like I could imagine her just like a picture of her on the cover of a sort of Ladybird book, just sweeping at something in the corner. And that was really cool. And I feel like on a big screen, like you would have really, really gotten that almost pantomime, like just very exaggerated, very caricatured, very bright and colourful thing, but that said, it's still a 4 because I also think that this would be a really cozy, fun thing to watch at home and really relaxing.
Totally. You could watch this on a plane.
Yeah.
Helen?
I did watch this on a plane.
Did you? Amazing.
Yeah. And it was perfect for that on a small screen. So I'm going to give it a 5. It's one of those films I would never have come across it had you not suggested it, and it had been on Netflix. So it's on there if you're kind of curious to what a potentially possibly gay romance between the two leads could have been, then definitely give it a go.
Fan fiction. I'm going to give it a 5. Like I said, if I'd seen this in the cinema, I would have been like, I think I've wasted my time a bit. So I think it works great at home, and it's probably the best environment for it. Engagement score.
I went for a 3.9. I don't know why I didn't quite plump for a 4. I remember it made sense last night. Yeah, 3.9, I think, just because it's probably closely tied to my repeat viewing score, in that while I'm watching it, I am very engaged, but I'm spending a lot of time also looking up like the stylist and the publicity tour, and I want to know a bit more about the book and all the artists on the French soundtrack, the amazing French soundtrack. So I'm kind of doing a lot of second screening throughout the film. But when I'm engaged, I saw someone tweet about it and say, this is like, I know, I couldn't look away if my house was on fire. This is just one of those, and I'm like, yes, agreed. So I suppose you could argue I'm still quite engaged in the film because I'm looking up the world of the film, but I'm still not 100% staring at the screen the entire time. So I'm going to give it a 3.9.
Ella?
I am surprised that my score is higher. So I gave it a 4.5. I gave it a 4.5 because... partly because I was very invested in the twists. I was very invested in whether or not it was gay.
Is it gay yet?
I literally...
What about now?
I made bullet points whilst I was watching the film, and the first bullet point was, this film is for sure gay and I refuse to believe otherwise. And then about 6 bullet points down was, it is gay when they kissed. And then the next bullet point is, it wasn't gay.
What a journey.
I'm seeing this also playing out in emojis now. I can kind of feel how you might have felt.
Yeah. But, whilst I did, like, some stuff to me was very obvious, like Blake Lively for sure wasn't dead. There was other stuff where I was genuinely surprised, and I was just like, okay, like I did not see that coming. I did not expect this. There were some bits that were quite thrilling, and I liked the cutting of the past and the unreliable narrator thing. So I thought, I felt engaged.
Helen?
I'm going to give this a solid 4. It does quite well to stretch to 1 hour 57, and they probably could have lost a good 20 minutes, I think, for me to have been really engaged. Towards the end, I was going to, come on then, let's wrap it up. But yeah, 4.
I'll go 3.9 as well. I think it was like, she's not dead, but let's see how she's not dead. Okay, fine. Okay, you've not shot her. You've not shot him, but let's see how you've not shot him. Okay, fine. That's okay. So it was things like that where you're ahead of the film, but you're not quite sure how it's going to pan out, and that's what kind of stuck me in. So 3.9, which gives us an overall score of 3.53125.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I believe I'm like one of the joint lowest scoring for this film. Even that was my suggestion.
It does happen. People seem to be a bit harder on the films that they choose than others. So we obviously, each time, guys, if you've listened for the first time, we always reach out to the Twitter sphere and tell them we're going to watch a film. In this case, A Simple Favour with Gedge Watch. That's you, Ella. And
it's Gedge.
Gedge Watch and Rabbit in a Hat. Have you seen it? Tell us your thoughts for an on-air shout-out on Flixwatcher. Becky, do you want to give us the first?
Yes, so Zoe says, 4 stars, enormous fun. If it was less comedic, Blake Lively would have gotten an Oscar nod.
And Ella?
Next one is the IMDb Journey podcast, which gives it 3 stars and says, a very weird movie in a good way with an excellent gif of Blake Lively, so I
In the
approve.
dress.
Do you want to take the next one as well, which is a half what we wanted?
Shall I go for this one?
Sure.
So from Shaken Not Nerd, love this movie. And did they come back?
No.
They never did.
Becky.
Tasteless Podcast says 5 stars. I adored this movie. Blake Lively is such a star, and it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Ella.
For Screen and Country, a BFI podcast says 4 stars.
And Helen, last one.
The What to Watch list. We loved A Simple Favour. Just wrote on it last week. Such a fun neo-noir. In short, 4 stars.
On
Plus.
4 stars.
Oh, yeah.
So they're giving 4.5.
Well, I don't know.
4 and a plus.
Yeah.
On the neo-noir descriptor, I saw someone describe it as a mommy noir, which I kind of like as a new subgenre.
We've had...
Ella is clutching her pearls.
I want Mummy Noir.
Yeah, mommy noir, for sure.
Guys, can you sign off by telling everyone where they can find you online and say bye to the listeners?
Sure. So I'm Becky Brynolf. You can find me on Twitter at Rabbit in a Hat or at And Then What Pod for my podcast.
So I'm Ella Watts. You can find me on Twitter at GejWatts, that's GEJ Watts, or you can find my podcast at Orphans Audio on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Bye.
Bye!
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Ben, and that's Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.